Promised, I did say that I'll be talking to a lady who's a motivational speaker. She's a newspaper columnist, she's an author and a TV producer. Most importantly, she is a wife and a mother. I'm talking to Ashley Thabas. Ashley, good morning and welcome to DUMA FM.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
How are you today? Are you keeping well?
I'm keeping well.
Yeah. So, look, there has been a TV show that's been running, right, on BTV called Talking with the Thabas. And, of course, it has attracted a lot of interest. And you're touching on some very, very pertinent issues, some thorny issues, some considered to be taboo. But maybe before we get into it in detail, let's just talk firstly about the TV show. What inspired, the TV show Talking with the Thabas?
So my husband and I feel like there's many social ills in our society that could be improved if we worked on the root level of into people's homes. But the question is, how do you do that? So a few years ago, we had an idea. People have heard professionals teach at them, lecture them, preach at them. But the issue is we live in a culture of pretense. The person that's saying they're fighting corruption is corrupt. The pastor who's talking about faithfulness is cheating. So people begin to tune out because they don't believe the person who's talking is buying what they're selling. So we thought, okay, let's do a show with an unscripted questions with a live audience about our family. That way it's fun, it's entertaining, it shows the good and the bad, and hopefully ultimately provides inspiration that although we're far from perfect, we are happy and healthy. So our desire is to become vulnerable to the nation and inspire people. This is what it can look like. And that way they get to ask whatever question they want to know, and it helps them with their personal home, not just theoretical advice. So in season 1, we focus on marriage. Season 2 is more general tips on how to build healthier families with a strong emphasis on parenting and backyard gardening. Yeah. Again, the idea is to make it practical on how to build a stronger, healthier home.
Right. And you speak about how the first season you spoke about relationships and how you can further strengthen them. Now, from your observation during interactions, and of course you also do a lot of, workshops, not only workshops, but you also, do a couple of campaigns around the country to help with relationships. What are some of the things you've observed as the main reasons to, tensions that happen in marriages and ultimately divorce rates, which we see are skyrocketing countrywide?
So statistically, it's actually proven that financial problems are the number one cause for divorce.
Yeah.
But of course, there's affairs and communication breakdown also contribute to marital problems. And of course, abuse. We know about gender-based violence and other issues like that. But again, gender-based violence is a symptom of a bigger problem. So you end up abusing one another when you are frustrated with your finance. You end up abusing one another when you're frustrated with your communication. It's a secondary problem. So you solve the root issues and the abuse issues solve themselves. And that's what we're doing, like with these campaigns you mentioned. We're going around to different villages and dealing with thousands of people. And what we're doing is when we teach them how to communicate better and how to budget their finances and how to work out their conflicts and how to deal with their children, the abuse solves itself. One of the issues is we talk about gender-based violence and we deal with it as an issue of let's go fix gender-based violence. Let's tell men that they shouldn't beat their women. But that doesn't work. Unless you've dealt with the root causes of what's causing the violence and the tension in the relationship, then it continues. No matter how much somebody knows I shouldn't do this, at the end of the day, if they don't feel like they can trust their spouse or if they don't feel like, they're not being respected or, their needs aren't being met, then the abuse will come. The tension will come.
Right. And you speak about the root cause. Is that, on a case-by-case basis, does it differ in terms of different couples, or the root cause is similar across all couples that are maybe facing these troubles that you outlined?
Well, I think that, like I said, the main root causes generally is a communication breakdown.
Yeah.
And that's one of the issues we have across the board in our country is that our society, our culture tends to glorify keeping quiet. Like, you shouldn't talk about that. That's not proper. You're going to make your family look bad. Don't mention the alcoholism. Don't mention the financial problems. Let's put on a face that makes us look like we've got this. And after a while, the pretense just gets to people, and it's like they can't handle it anymore, and they blow up because there's only so long you can just keep quiet before you just snap. So I think, the root causes are different in every couple, but there's some common denominators in most every relationship, and that's a breakdown in communication.
Yeah. And how do you go about improving communication? I mean, I've heard people say communicate better, but I can't communicate, so it's kind of tough to just say just improve your communication.
Well, we actually have a book, which we sell in our office for Hunter Pula in Pakalani, and people can get that on Talking with the Thabas on Facebook. They can ask me for more details. But there's a lot into it. It's practical tips. Like, I mean, I couldn't go into them all here, but I mean, like one specific is like if you're having an argument, or no, let's not even go to an argument. Let's say you have a problem with somebody. Like, let's say, Bonjour, I'm looking at you and you are doing X, Y, Z, and I don't like it. Yeah. So the temptation is just to say, I don't like when you do da-da-da. And then your spouse is here nagging and complaining. So a practical tip, which again, these are all covered in the books in detail, but would be to call what we call the sandwich method. So you say one positive. You know, Bonjour, I really like it when you do A, B, C. But, you know, one thing we could work on is if you do this. But, you know, in the end, you do this. So you sandwich the negative with two positives. And suddenly the person's like, oh, he doesn't just see, you know, negative in me. She also sees a positive. And so it's called the sandwich method. So there's a lot of various communication methods in which another one is I instead of you. So if you walk in and I say, you're always late, then you're already on the defensive. But I'll say, I feel neglected when you come late because it makes me feel like, you know, I'm not the first thing you're thinking about when you get off work. Yeah. Then the I feel is more harder to argue than an accusation that you are always late. So using I feel. So there's just a lot of communication techniques, which again, we cover those in the book. I probably can't cover them in this interview because it's short. But you can learn how to better communicate.
And one of the episodes that I watched, you spoke about affair proofing. I was interested because I was like, is that a thing? Is that even possible?
Yeah. Okay, so again, that is all covered in the book, but that was in season 1. Yeah. Season 2 is parenting, but okay, let me talk about affair proofing. So affair proofing is the acknowledgement that an affair is possible. My husband and I have been married for 18 years. Yeah. Very wonderful marriage. But we still know that having an affair is a possibility. As long as we're humans and we can be tempted, then we know that's a possibility. So then instead of trying to be defensive, we try to act on the offensive. What are the causes for an affair, and what does that mean we can do? So we try to tell each other where we are at any given time, because of course affairs happen when you don't know where your spouse is. We give each other the passwords to our phone, our computer, and a bank account, because of course affairs start happening and things start, you know, going on in the phone and the bank account. But if you have each other's passwords, then you're acting offensively, not defensively. I can look. If I have any temptation, I just go and look. What's he doing? You know, we tell each other when we have tempted thoughts. Like if I'm tempted about another man or he's tempted about another woman, we say, hey, you know, I started having these thoughts. And that's okay. We try to be safe because we understand that we'd rather tell each other offensively than defensively when it's already happened. It's like, oh, let me tell you what I did. You know, we flee temptation. We don't, you know, entertain it. We spend quality time together every single day in order to keep our love exciting. We are intentional about sending messages like text messages and calling about love. We just make sure that we keep our relationship exciting so that our needs are met at home and we're not tempted to look elsewhere. But I think a lot of people, they don't even want to talk about the possibility of an affair, so then it ends up happening. So it's like if you don't think you're ever going to get robbed, you don't put up a wall, you don't put up, you know, an alarm system because you're in denial that it can happen. And then a thief is like, oh, that's an easy target. So we just try not to be an easy target. We try to affair proof. Yeah. Nice.
That's interesting. I never thought it's something that you can openly talk about. But let's move on to season 2. Obviously, season 2 started, and like you already mentioned that this time you're talking about, you know, family and backyard gardening. Take us through that. Why you decided to focus on that in the second season of Talking with the Thabas?
Well, when we did season 1, we talked about, like I said, marriage. And then a lot of people said, but, you know, that's now helped with our marriage. But then another issue in our homes is this parenting issue. And so, you know, we just started thinking about the corruption in the culture and crime rates and low education rates. And Percy and I were just thinking that a lot of those problems can be traced back to a child who wasn't raised with a respect for authority, with a moral compass, with integrity, or even an environment which helped teach them to be a blessing to society. So we just wanted to create a show in season 2 which helped to offer practical parenting tips on how we could strengthen homes. Basically, there's a theme here in season 1 and in season 2. The goal is if we can strengthen individual homes, we can strengthen the entire nation because each one of us come from a home. So whether that be our marriage relationship, our parenting relationship, our homes are just broken and people are hurting. And so we don't want to just keep saying, oh, you know, children are doing awful in school. Teachers aren't teaching. Why? What's the reason? Because they're hurting. And when they go to school, adding 1 + 1 is the last thing on their mind. You know, I mean, like crime. Why are people going to crime? Because they're hurting, and hurt people hurt others.
Yeah.
So again, we're just trying to deal with the root causes of a lot of our social ills in an effort to just try to be a positive impact in the society.
Awesome stuff. Now, what can people look forward to? And of course, you spoke about, the book. Where can people get more information and get the book and watch?
Well, the book is at our office in Pakalani, and you can just, I think the easiest thing on air is just to say, go to Facebook, Talking with the Thabas. That's the name of the TV show. And then you can inbox me and I can give you directions to the office. But basically, I think what you can just look forward to, even in the campaigns, which we've done 3 of them so far across the nation, is we're just trying to offer practical tips to strengthen homes, because we believe a stronger nation would start with stronger homes, and we're trying to do everything we can. And a lot of things, I mean, people may not know this, we're self-sponsoring a lot of this. I mean, like our TV show, no one in this country is paying for that. And the reason we're doing that is to try to be a positive voice. And so we encourage other people, wherever you are, whatever ills you see in society, don't just complain about it. See what you can do to change it. Because if each one of us did our little part, we could make Botswana a better place.
Awesome stuff. Ashley, it's always a pleasure talking to you, and of course, we do look forward to, when does it air again?
7:30 on Sunday night. So it's season 2 has 13 episodes. So 2 of them have already aired. So there's 11 more. So Sunday night, BTV, 7:30 for the next 11 weeks. So catch it.
Awesome stuff. Ashley, thank you so much for talking to us, Ma. We'll definitely tune in just to learn more. And of course, I think these are such important lessons for couples, for young married couples, older married couples, and families altogether. Thank you so much for talking to us this morning.
Thanks for having me. Have a great day.
Same to you, Ma.
Thanks, bye.
All right, bye. That is Ashley Thabas. She's a TV producer. She's a motivational speaker. She's also an author, a columnist, and she has a TV show which I thought was very interesting when I saw it. And these are some of the things they look at in our society, but so it's worth just going to take a watch and read the book as well while you're at it. It is definitely something you can pick from it.